Hello everyone, and welcome to my video for both home buyers and home sellers. My name is Kevin Boyle and I work with Sutton Premier Realty. And today I want to talk to you about the 10 commandments for every home buyer. And this applies equally well to first-time homeowners and home buyers, and it also applies to people who might be sellers and might be thinking about purchasing. The first commandment is that thou shalt not buy a property from the seller's real estate agent without your own representation. I actually learned this one the hard way because when I purchased my first property, I had no idea what I was doing, and I did what probably 95% of home buyers do out there, which is I went on the internet and I looked for properties and I went to open houses. But what I didn't understand is that when I found that great property, it didn't necessarily have a great realtor that came along with it. And unfortunately, I just didn't understand this concept that the seller's realtor was working for the seller, and that when I came into the picture, I was like the third wheel. So unfortunately what happened to me, I got stuck with this poor realtor who didn't act in my best interest, and in fact it ended up costing me thousands of dollars. And the primary reason was lack of disclosure. He didn't tell me anything. He didn't tell me very much about the property that I was buying. He just wanted to sell it. And the factor number two, which went into me losing some money, was that you get what you negotiate. And unfortunately, he was a very poor negotiator. At least he wasn't looking out for my best interest, because halfway during the negotiation, he just gave up. He said, I can't put this deal together. It's too much work. It's too difficult. And I quit. I couldn't believe it. I've never heard of anybody doing that, quitting halfway through a deal, and left me in limbo. I ended up putting the deal together myself. So that one, that first commandment was personal experience, and it came to me at a very substantial cost at a time that I couldn't really afford that. So this leads to commandment number two, which is thou shalt not work with a realtor without stellar references. I can't tell you how important this one fact is, that as a home buyer, it does not cost you anything to enlist the services of a realtor. The seller pays the buyer's realtor's commission. So as a home buyer, you don't have to worry about paying. So if it's free for a home buyer, why not get the best realtor you can? Why not get a realtor with references? Because the fact of the matter is a lot of home sellers and a lot of home buyers, they go based on a vibe. But the problem is salespeople give off pretty good vibes, and you might not know whether this person has your best interests. I've always said to people, listen, if they're such a great realtor and they have a proven background in real estate and they do such a good job for their clients, then insist on talking to 3 or 4 of their clients. I think that's only reasonable for you who are about to go into one of the biggest transactions of your life to insist on seeing 3 references. And I can only tell you, if you ignore this rule, it's only at your own peril. You've only got yourself to blame if you don't insist on references and you don't check them out. Because you know what? I actually get 1 to 2 calls every 1 or 2 months from people who say, Kevin, I wish I'd gone through you. I wish I'd used you as a realtor. I knew somebody from church or I knew somebody from work and I ended up going with their suggestion, and it was the biggest mistake I ever did. And at that time, I can't do anything because you're in contract with another realtor. Number 3, thou shalt not forget to get your financial house in order 6 to 12 months advance of when you purchase or when you plan on selling and buying, or a first-time buyer. Get that deposit into the bank account. You want to show the bank or your lender that you are financially sound. So start thinking about it today. Number 4, thou shalt not buy a car or truck or furniture or anything that would add to your debt ratio that you already have now, because that's going to affect your credit rating, but your FICO score. And it's also going to affect how much you can borrow. My best advice to people who are looking to purchase a home or looking to upgrade is to wait before you purchase the car or the furniture after you buy. Number 5, thou shalt not change jobs. This one, again, it just goes back to stability. The bank or the lender that you work with wants to see stability. And these points that I'm going over with you are so important because it's all based on your FICO score. Yes, you can answer an ad about a great interest rate, but if your FICO score is too low, you're not going to get that rate. And a lot of times it'll make a difference of 1, 2, 3%, which is hundreds of dollars on your mortgage. And if you put that into years, that's thousands and thousands of dollars. So the trick is if you're getting ready to buy 6 to 12 months in advance of when you know you will be, and you get your financial house in order, get your FICO score as high as possible. And this goes to number 6, which is thou shalt not ignore your credit balances. The fact of the matter is, when your bank or your lender looks at your FICO score to determine your interest rate, they look at your credit balances. How much credit do you carry every month? If you have a $2,500 balance on your credit card and it's always at $2,000, it affects your FICO score. So you want to get that balance down to 0 and keep it at 0 every month, 6 months to 12 months before you purchase. Number 7, thou shalt not originate any inquiries into your credit. So this is one thing that I never knew, but when I actually purchased my car, I didn't realize that every time I went to a different car dealership and they did a credit inquiry, it was actually lowering my FICO score. So again, I was hurting myself without even realizing it. Number 8, thou shalt not co-sign a loan for anyone before you purchase your property. Because again, what it does is they look at your debt ratio and whether you're able to actually carry the payments of the home that you want to purchase. But also, if that person you co-sign for defaults or can't make a payment, it's going to affect your credit rating. Number 9, thou shalt not ignore what you can realistically afford for your mortgage payments. This is so critically important. I actually worked with a couple and they didn't get pre-approved. They had told me that they did, and we went out, we looked at homes, we found them something, we went through a lot of trouble to get them financed, and you know what, 6 months later they called me and they said, Kevin, this was the biggest mistake of our lives because we bought on emotion. We didn't really sit down and think about what we were pre-approved for. We found the house we wanted and we made it work. Well, you know what? Make your finances work first and then go out so you don't get hooked in to paying more for a property or overbuying a property that you really can't afford. Number 10, thou shalt not rent. I can't tell you how important it is for you. If you're paying $1,000 a month rent, that's $12,000 in a year. Over 5 years, that's $60,000. Now, yes, you can say, well, if I had a mortgage, it would be, $1,500 or $2,000. But that's equity you're building for your future, and that's money that you're not throwing away into rent. Well, that's my presentation on the 10 Commandments for every home buyer. I hope you've got a lot of useful information out of this series. Please feel free to call me or email me if you have any questions. My name, once again, is Kevin Boyle from Sutton Premier Realty, and my number is 778-868-5753. That's 778-868-5753, and thank you.